up next on your only local news at 5:30. Reopening schools across the state is still a question. Hear from one teacher about her concerns.
We're out here with search and rescue after over the weekend there were multiple water rescues. We're going to tell you what you need to know coming up.
Hey everybody, Cam here with April from Northwest Community Credit Union. She has a
live in Western Oregon. This is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
Schools are hitting the books, planning for the new year. They're following guidelines from the Department of Education. This as local educators are expressing some concerns. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Mazer. Oregon Department of Educators Ready Schools Safe Learners was developed in collaboration with the Oregon Health Authority. Our Lauren Negretti joins us live in the studio tonight to talk about how educators are following the new guidelines and how they feel about the prospect of going back to class. Lauren.
Jacqueline, the ODE says its Ready Schools Safe Learners guidance is for the safe reentry of staff and students. I spoke with a local teacher and union board member who says there's some concern and a lot that has to happen for education.
The playground is empty at Adams Elementary School, but it's unclear how long it could stay that way. Lisa Fragola is a second grade teacher at Adams and on the Eugene, Oregon Education Association board.
I think there's a lot of anxiety.
She says with classrooms being an ideal environment for transmission, people are afraid.
We have to create a plan that really makes sure that kids are safe, and that includes physical as well as emotional.
That's underway with the ODE's guidelines for tasking schools to tailor plans to their needs, decide on on-site distance learning or a hybrid instruction, and come up with a communicable disease management plan. In 4J,
starting in the fall with a comprehensive remote learning for all students, and then to collaborate with teachers to figure out how to transition back.
Fragola says it's critical for teachers to have a voice in reopening. She says there are collaborative work groups with teachers and the district focusing on a variety of things.
Planning for these cohort models, planning for special education, and simply thinking about how do you navigate the physical space.
ODE guidelines include dedicated student groups to ensure contact tracing, socially distanced seating, and outside class time. Also, at least 3 feet of distance between students on the bus and face coverings for staff and students over 12. But Fragola says their recommendations are a minimum. And there's an impact either way.
There's a lot that needs to happen. There needs to be adequate supplies, resources, and funding to make sure that schools are safe.
As for funding, the ODE says districts were allocated federal funding from the Elementary and Secondary School Education Relief Program to address the impacts of COVID-19. The Oregon Department of Education will update their guidelines Tuesday.
All right, thanks for that report, Lauren. Well, NBC News spoke with Oregon Governor Kate Brown tonight about reopening Oregon's schools. Brown pointed to a hybrid of in-person and online education, but says school districts will ultimately make the decision on what things will look like. She adds local public health authorities should also weigh in on that decision.
We certainly have communities around the state that have relatively low infection rates, and I would hope that those school districts working with their school boards and teachers and parents can get students back into the classroom, but that's not probably going to happen everywhere.
Brown says schools would still have to meet social distancing and sanitation standards. Now, coming up on NBC 16 News at 11 tonight, Brown talks about how to make sure students don't get left behind during online learning. Well, 2 new rules are in effect today in an effort to slow the spread of the coronavirus in Oregon. Masks are now required outside if you can't maintain 6 feet of social distance. They're already required indoors. It's strongly recommended children between 2 and 12 years old wear a mask. Children under the age of 2 are not required to wear a mask. Plus, any indoor gatherings in Oregon cannot exceed 10 or more people. So think of social events like birthday parties, graduations, or dinner parties. The rule does not apply to workplaces, churches, gyms, or restaurants. Oregon has surpassed the 13,000 mark in coronavirus cases. Oregon Health Authority reports 282 new confirmed and presumptive cases. OHA also reports 4 more deaths, totaling 247 statewide now. Multnomah has the most cases in Oregon, nearing the 3,100 mark. Here in Lane County, there are a total of 324 cases. Lane County Public Health reported 7 more cases. 48 patients are infected. 3 people are hospitalized. Now, as a reminder, free testing is available for the community. It's taking place tomorrow. There's free testing in Cottage Grove in the Health Hub parking lot. Testing starts at 4 p.m. and runs until 7 p.m. Lane County Public Health is asking people to bring their insurance cards. However, the tests are free regardless of insurance status. Well, just this week, Oregon lawmakers agreed on sending an additional $500 to those still waiting on their unemployment. But it isn't clear how or when people will get it, as thousands of Oregonians are still waiting on months' worth of benefits. NBC 16's Cassandra Gutierrez joins us live in the studio. Now, Cassandra, you spoke with several people who have yet to receive any form of federal benefits. How are they coping knowing some cash at least is on the way?
Well, Jacqueline, not very well, because some are thousands in debt, they tell me. As we know it, this year has been busier than ever in employment offices nationwide. The Oregon Employment Director says about 200,000 Oregonians still need to receive benefits. Here in Lane and Lynn County, laid-off employees tell me they are suffering as a result of the backlog, and that $500 check just might not be enough.
I filed for unemployment when President Trump made it available for self-employed people. And to date, I have still received nothing.
Having lost her job and her home as the weeks pass by, Penny Grady goes deeper into debt.
But I owe everybody money. It is very, very depressing to owe everybody money. I have great friends that say, don't worry about it, and people that love me. I live with somebody that is amazing. It's just depressing, though, that, I mean, you have to ask somebody for money to put gas in your car.
Although she is thankful to be living with a friend, she, like others, says this waiting period is filled with anxiety.
It's been 15 weeks, and I have not received anything. I've not got anything from the unemployment office acknowledging even if I am going to get unemployment. If I do, when it starts, I have no idea what is going on.
Lori says she has called the employment office thousands of times and no answer.
I am disappointed that despite the very hard work of our employees, we've not yet met our very aggressive weekly goals. Despite that, I remain cautiously optimistic that we will meet our goal by August 8th, and we're doing everything that we can to do so.
OED Director David Gerstenfeld says they have hired more employees to focus on PUAs, or Pandemic Unemployment Assistance.
I know things aren't going to feel much better until every Oregonian gets all of the benefits they deserve. Please continue to hold me accountable. I'm committed to being transparent and sharing both the good news and the bad.
Hoping for better news in the near future. Reporting in Eugene, I'm Cassandra Gutierrez.
The Oregon Department of Employment says it is best to visit their webpage before calling, as they have received about 20 million calls since the month of April. They also have a language assistance for a variety of languages.
All right, gosh, an unfortunate story for Lori and so many like her. Thank you, Cassandra. Well, Lane County rent assistance applications open today. Applicants must be able to prove a loss of income due to the pandemic or a risk of infection, and that a loss of housing would cause a health issue related to COVID-19. Up to $5.1 million is available. Funding was provided by the federal COVID-19 CARES Act. Applications will be selected by a lottery system. The application will be open for 1 week. You can fill out an application at lanecounty.org/rent. Organizers of a movement aimed at making Southern Oregon a part of Idaho have filed a federal lawsuit hoping to get their signature requirement reduced. Move Oregon's Borders has until August 5th to get the necessary number of signatures to put the measure on the ballot. They're saying the pandemic and the governor's executive order are keeping them from achieving the signature requirement.
Some cases across the United States have gone down to 50%, some have gone down to 30%, some have gone down to 10%, and I believe in one case they eliminated the signature requirement entirely.
The case was assigned to a judge who recently granted relief to the group People Not Politicians, who are also looking for a set number of signatures. That group had their deadline pushed back more than a month and the signature requirement reduced by nearly 100,000.
So it all comes back on the judge, where the judge feels that harm has been done by the coronavirus or the executive orders.
While there is some precedent, McCarter says the rulings are made on a case-by-case basis. He doesn't expect to be granted relief based only on a prior ruling. The hearing, meantime, is scheduled for July 20th. Well, coming up on your only local news at 5:30, as more states make masks a requirement, how parents can make sure their kids actually keep them on.